Hey guys! So, a few days ago I did a video on my darker themed decks, just kind of getting into the spooky season that's coming up and whatnot, with October being my favorite month and all. But then I started thinking that most of why I work so heavily with cartomancy is for self-healing and self-work, self-development. Pretty much, all of that wrapped into one big giant ball of awesomeness. And that's always been the thing for me. That has been what drew me to tarot. So I decided, especially in the spirit of Self-Love September, that I would share with you guys my decks that I use for self-healing or self-work. My more gentle decks, my decks that I go to when I'm feeling really raw and I just cannot handle another punch in the gut. So I need something that's going to be gentle with me, and that's okay too. I have decks that are more harsh, and I have decks that aren't. And so this is going to be kind of the decks that are on the more gentle side, or the decks that tend to be more self-healing. So first I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting them. I have 5 tarot and 3 oracle. So we're going to go through the oracle first and then the tarot. I'm going to flip it a little bit here. So the first deck I have is the Queen of the Moon Oracle. Just make sure the camera, honestly the camera is really weird. And there's a kitty shadow. Come on, move please. Not that way. Nope, not that way. Thank you. I did a video on this once before where I kind of walked through the cards shortly after I got it last year. But I really, really enjoy this deck. I did edge it. It has a self-love card in it. So, I mean, you can't go wrong. But it has so much to offer, so many uplifting messages, and it's kind of balanced too. We do have some negative cards in here as well. I love the resilience card. There's the long night moon for December. It's got, I'm trying to see if I can find resistance, change. I love change. That's such a good card. Discernment, balance. There's definitely a good mix in here of cards, and I find this deck to be very, very self-healing. I love this one, the Void, for the dark moon. And it's got, masculine and feminine. But see, boundaries, beauty, there it is, self-love. See? You can't go wrong with this one. This one is fantastic, and it's just a very beautiful deck. So this one is a very gentle deck. It's one I enjoy greatly, and me being a moon baby, you can't go wrong with the Queen of the Moon Oracle. I definitely enjoy this. Like I said, I've had it for, I think, a little less than a year now. And I really enjoy this deck. So the next one, this one I've had for a little over a year now. And this is the Work Your Light Oracle. Now I myself don't consider myself to be a light worker. But this deck is very gentle, very loving, very self-healing. It is a very beautiful deck. I love Danielle Noel's artwork. So I was drawn to it just because I really enjoyed her artwork. But this deck is not as balanced as Queen of the Moon is, in the sense of the presence of negative cards. But this is definitely one of those decks that is otherworldly. It is magical. It is very uplifting. just moved the I just moved the cloth. It's definitely on another plane for sure. I have not read Rebecca Campbell's books yet. I know she did a couple of her books, Rise Sister Rise and Light is the New Black. I have to admit, I tend to shy away from very, very fluffy stuff, but at the same time, I'm also a very sensitive person, and sometimes the more harsh stuff really weighs me down. So, having something like this and embracing it is also very, very beneficial to me, because I have such a hard time with the harshness of the world, and so when I'm feeling like I just cannot handle it, sometimes a deck like this is just something that I really need to escape. So yeah, that is something that I struggle with tremendously. But so let's Work Your Light by Rebecca Campbell and Danielle Noel, and the box is stuck. Okay. Now the next deck I'm going to show is honestly, I think, my favorite Oracle deck. I absolutely love this deck. I did a review on it, and that is the Illuminated Earth Oracle by Claire Mack. She is a fellow Pacific Northwest native, and I just love this deck so much, guys. It is so beautiful, and it is a very, very balanced Oracle deck. So this one, like I said, oops, we got 2 cards there. Look at that. Oh, this one is very, this one is one of those ones that it's gentle and it's not. So if you're really feeling raw, I wouldn't recommend reaching for this one. If it's just, you just can't handle that at the moment. But if you're wanting to look at trying to do some self-work, be it healing and personal development, I really recommend this deck. It is so beautiful, and it definitely touches on the more pagan aspects as well, being such an earthy deck. But it's got such emotion to it, and I really, really enjoy this deck. I love this grief card. I just think it's so amazing. I have completely fallen head over heels for this deck. This is my favorite Oracle deck so far, honestly. I really do think that it is. I just can't get enough of it. So this is another one I recommend for self-work. Again, this one is not exactly gentle, but it is definitely worth it, for sure. So that is the Illuminated Earth Oracle by Claire Mack. And while I fumble to put it away because one of the cards is flipped over, I actually shared my review with her, and she seemed to really enjoy it. So that made me happy, because she's an incredible artist and I really enjoy her work. So on to the tarot. The first one I'm going to recommend or share with you guys is the Moonchild Tarot. This is one of my favorite tarot decks. I love it so much. This is a very, very magical deck. It is a very empowering deck. It is a very uplifting deck. And what am I doing here? Sorry, guys. There we go. See, look at this 3 of Cups. It's just so beautiful. And the 5 of Swords. As we know, tarot decks are more balanced than Oracle, just by default. But, depending on the Oracle deck, of course. But overall, tarot decks have, you know, the darker cards. But the great thing about this deck is it comes with this card, the Shadow Work card. I love that. I love that the extra card, some of the extra cards that were included in here. I believe there are 3, 4, if I remember correctly. But, yeah, this is just one of my favorite tarot decks. It's got a very, again, very gentle and otherworldly energy, and I will say the same about the Starchild Tarot as well, which was the next one I was going to share. But the Moonchild Tarot feels more introspective than the Starchild Tarot, where the Starchild Tarot kind of feels more otherworldly in the sense of, I want to say more of like the astral realm, or the connection that we have with the universe, whereas this deck seems to be more introspective in the connection that we have with ourselves. So there's one of the extra cards, Divine Wisdom. So this is another one that I really recommend. It's definitely a deck that I go to when I'm feeling just really, really crappy. And again, this one I've had for about a year now too, and I just love it. I really, really do. Alright, the next deck is its sister deck, the Starchild Tarot. I'm really hoping my angle is good here, guys. I'm still experimenting with this. This box is massive. So again, as I said, this deck seems to be more in that realm of our connection with the universe. But again, it is a very empowering deck. I love this moon card. I think this has my favorite Empress card in it. But I love her artwork. I find it very easy to sink into, and I think that the images, both from the Moonchild and the Starchild, more so the Moonchild because I think I resonate with that deck just a little bit more, but I do love the Starchild here. I find these images just something that there's the Empress. I love this Empress card. I find these images just something that I can really sink into. And it's something that I've been actually tempted to path work with these cards, because it seems like something from a dream, honestly. And these are they're just so great for healing, because they are more gentle. They are not off-putting. They are more invoking of your inner magic, I think. And this deck, like I said, specifically is more invoking of your connection with the universe as well. So, that is the Starchild. And her guidebooks are fantastic. Like, this is the guidebook for the Starchild, and she puts so much work into her guidebooks. She has a book on the tarot that I think is basically it uses the Starchild, and it's kind of an extended, it can be looked at as an extended guidebook to it. I've been tempted to pick that deck up, or book up, words. So the next deck is a deck that you guys probably all know, and this is the Crystal Visions Tarot. I trimmed this. This is the first deck that I trimmed, and I just love it trimmed. But this deck is it's fantasy, it's nature-y. It's just something that reminds me a lot of some of the stories that I used to love as a child. And I find that comforting and healing as just that inner child work, as well as invoking that imaginative side of me. And this deck I've also used for mediumship. I used it several times to communicate with my mother, and it seems to work pretty well, honestly. But this deck, there's just so many loving and peaceful images in this deck. Nothing is very off-putting. And I don't think anything is really overly cheesy either. And it's also pretty similar to Rider-Waite. So it's pretty easy to read for both beginners and advanced tarot readers. Whereas the Moonchild and the Starchild I wouldn't recommend for beginners because they are very different. But these are, the Crystal Visions Tarot is very, very similar to Rider-Waite, I think. I call it like my fantasy version of the Rider-Waite. So yeah, that's the Crystal Visions. I just love this deck. It's so beautiful. Alright. So I've got 2 more decks for you. The next one is sort of newer in my collection. This is the White Sage Tarot. In tin. This is a very cute little deck. So it has, I'm just gonna check the angle here. It has, its own little system to it where it's linked to the chakras. And as we know, we utilize our chakras to help clear blocked or negative energy within our body, the energy points in our body. So if chakras are your thing, this is a deck that you really should pick up. It is, this one's still in order. It is animal based to some degree, but it's also got plant life, and it's just, I love the color scheme in this deck. I love the gentleness of the artwork. I just think that it's really calming, specifically the color scheme. There's something about the color scheme, and even Death, like look at this card, it's beautiful. And how the author, or the artist rather, author, chose to, the star is beautiful too. The sage creating the, oh, it's so pretty. I don't know, it's just, it's very calming to look through. And as you get into the minors, they have representations, color representations for the chakras. So you'll see these here as I go through. I really, really like the cups. Let's see if I can get to, oh yeah, the cups. This is the best Ace of Cups ever because I'm a coffee lover. And I was like, yes, this is fantastic. So this would be considered a Pip-ish deck because there are no human figures in the minors. The core cards, however, are animals. So we'll get to those. Look at this cute Page of Cups. Oh my gosh, so adorable. And the Knight. Oh, this Queen of Cups is just like the cutest thing ever. I can't. See, like, I adore this deck. It's very cute. And even the Nine of Swords. It's just, so this is a very gentle deck, for sure. I like the use of sand dollars, because that makes me think of Washington as well, because I used to go and collect sand dollars on the beach. So yeah, this is the White Sage Tarot. And I will have more to say on this when I work with it a little bit more. It's a newer one in my collection, and I haven't really quite worked with it yet, but I got it specifically for its gentle energy. And the last but not least is the Obito Tarot. I have been ranting and raving about this deck lately because it is the one that I have been working with the most at the moment, probably for this last 3 weeks now, I want to say. This deck is something else. I spoke of this deck in one of my other videos recently where I talk about, where I give myself the tarot reading during the full moon on Friday the 13th. And I talk about why I wanted this deck, and I specifically wanted it for the nod to Japanese culture, the nod to Buddhism, the nod to the Pacific Northwest. This is another Pacific Northwest artist. But also the fact that this deck seems very, very heavy on human emotion. And I wanted something that I could go to if I really needed to go deeper in myself and understand my own emotions. And because quite frankly, I have a lot of internal chaos between having depression and anxiety and being a highly sensitive person. It tends to cause a lot of emotional turmoil, and it's something that obviously I am seeking help with on a professional and medicinal level, but also in a spiritual level. So I saw this deck as an opportunity to help me with that, and I really think, look at this, oh, just supporting each other. This card just gives me so much because, oops, bumped the camera. I'm gonna move that a little bit back. I think we are still, there we go. This card just gives me so much. It's just, this is something that I so greatly need a lot, and it's something that I forget that I'm deserving of. So, and this one, the Hermit, also really speaks to me because my idea of being the Hermit would be going through a hike in the mountains. Yeah, so I can't speak enough about this deck. I can't speak enough about my connection to it so far. The Six of Swords here, this whole coming up for air, oh, just, this deck has really gotten to me in probably the best possible way. So this is probably going to be my go-to for when I really, really need some deep emotional healing. I plan on doing full reviews of all of the decks I own, but I want to provide this for my channel when I have worked with the decks extensively and can go through the imagery and tell you how I've worked with them and how they've worked for me and what they have to offer. So those will slowly be kind of coming out over the next few months, bit by bit, just so you guys know. So those are the decks that I use for self-healing and self-work and all that stuff. Hopefully this camera angle worked out for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing this video. I love talking about tarot decks. To me, they are such a mirror into so much, but also they are works of art, and I love art. So it's a lot of things that I'm passionate about. And I just thought I would share something for a little bit of self-love work as well. So hopefully you guys felt inspired by this, and if anybody wants to do VR on this, what the decks you guys tend to use for your self-healing work, I would absolutely love to see that, because I love to see other people's perspective on that stuff. Sorry you're looking at my pretty cloth here as I conclude, but that's all I have to say for this video for today, and join me tomorrow in my next video. Blessed be!